he would know. Like Ben would know.
Right.
The last couple, and I don't mean that insultingly.
Yeah.
Like at the end there, Ben, it looked like he didn't want to get hit as much and all that kind of stuff.
He wasn't having as much fun either.
Wasn't having as much. I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is, for all of us sitting up here speculating about Tom Brady's state of mind, there's someone who has kind of walked in his shoes or close to them, telling you what he thinks he sees. I think that is significant.
Yeah, I rewatched the game hoping to see Tom Brady play badly so that I could be like, look, he's finally falling off. He's throwing the hell out of the ball. He is throwing passes that peak Tom Brady throws. But that doesn't mean that he's having fun, and that doesn't mean that he's happy to be out there, and he certainly doesn't want to get hit. And Ben Roethlisberger is the right guy to talk about that. That's one thing that I think you can pick up in the way that Tom Brady is playing differently, is he always gets rid of the ball quickly, but he is getting rid of it really quickly now. He got sacked a couple times, which is 2 times too many for Tom Brady. So I can see where Ben is coming from. It's interesting to hear him say that, though.
They also have offensive line questions. We knew that coming into the season and everything else. Canty, what do you see?
Well, I see a quarterback that's struggling to adjust to all the new that's on that offense. You're talking about 5 new starters that suited up against the Steelers versus the lineup that they had last season. So when you have 3 new interior starters for a quarterback that does most of his work from the pocket, that's going to be a problem in terms of quick pressure and hitting the quarterback. Tom Brady is 45 years old. He ain't going to throw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of having a shaky offensive line and struggling to get on the same page with his receivers. And what exacerbates the issue is they are dead last in rushing yards.
Yeah.
There's no balance on that offense. We knew it was going to have to look different because of what age Tom Brady is. But it seems like this Tampa Bay offense hasn't evolved to the point where they can support, and I hate to say it this way, support a 45-year-old quarterback.
And look, so that's the X's and the O's piece, and that's an important part. But Kimberly, I turn to you because the relationship piece obviously is your area of expertise. There's no one I enjoy hearing on this stuff, honestly, more than you. And a lot has been made on this show and others of him going to that wedding on Friday night and everything else with Robert Crafton, exactly where his head is right now with whatever is going on in his life. How does that play into all of this, in your opinion?
Well, even if fans don't want to hear what we have to say, the fact that Ben Roethlisberger, a former quarterback, literally in that podcast, first of all, show me a player who does not have a podcast right now. It's too much now. But Ben was saying, that doesn't look like the same Tom Brady that I played against. The old Tom Brady, he went to this guy's wedding during a season. He's missing training camp. These are things that former quarterbacks, like future Hall of Famers, are saying about Brady. That's why he looks different, where you've got the stuff, the off-the-field stuff in his relationship. You've got him missing time. You've got a team that, despite the fact that he's getting the ball out quickly, they cannot do anything well right now. And reinforcements in the form of Gronkowski, I was holding out hope that Gronkowski by week 6, right about now, week 7, would say, you know what, let me rejoin Tom. That's not happening. So when you think about their red zone issues, when you think about their inability to score at will, Gronk not being there, there are just so many question marks, and it just doesn't seem like...
Maybe you just got to yell at more people. Maybe he's not yelling loud enough.
He needs to stop yelling at people. I'm done. Dude, I was thinking if I was one of those offensive linemen, I don't like authority, I would have lit into him because he's throwing the ball well, but overall as a team, there's so many things, it's all systems failure. There's too many things going wrong that he can't be doing this, especially when the old Tom Brady would not have excused himself multiple times.
Look, I'm the oldest person sitting at this table, so I think I can speak to this part of it with some authority. Your perspective on life changes the older you get. That is just natural. You're different when you're 30 than you are when you're 20. You're different at 40. You're different at 45. It's not a criticism to say that the way he views everything, inclusive of football, have changed. But what has made Tom Brady, is that nothing in the world was more important to him every single minute of his life than being the best quarterback in the world. And if that's no longer the case, then to some degree he loses his edge immediately. Quick final thought.
You're absolutely right about that. And as far as pushing buttons on teammates, I imagine that he's tried everything, and I'm hoping that yelling is the last resort. But when you're doing desperate things like that, you're in trouble because no one gets better. If you can block someone, you'll block them. I'm not going to block them better now that you yelled at me. Oh, you didn't want me to before. Oh, now I know you're really serious.
Here's the best news he's got. It's the same best news Aaron Rodgers has. There's no one running away and hiding in that division, in their divisions, or in that conference. We wouldn't expect. So as up and down as it's looked, they're still right in the thick of things. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.